A big Swiss bank in Ripple had a secret plan to work on digital IDs. This plan is now being made public. We're going to talk about that more and figure out what it might mean. In these new clips, Paul Barron talks to ABS Bitcoin. What do you think the name of this man is? I found out some new things about SBI, Chainlink, and the two together, of course. Around the world, we learned some things about ETFs and ETPs, what this could mean for U.S. markets, and how XRP is already bought and sold. Let's start. The Coin Bureau says that word got out about Ripple's plans. A story goes around that Ripple, a Swiss bank, and a U.S. blockchain business are going to use XRP to connect their networks so that digital IDs can work with tokenized assets. JP Morgan says that digital ID is what Web3 is based on. Let's find out what's going on. A lot of people think that Ripple will work together with a Swiss bank and an American blockchain company to build a new network. This network will link digital ID compliance and tokenized assets, using the SEHRP system as a link, even though while the specifics haven't been made public yet, JP Morgan has said that Web3 will be based on digital identity. In decentralized finance, this shows that the market wants safe digital ID systems that follow the rules. Some well-known experts and social media sites have brought attention to what they call leaks and papers that talk about a deal for Ripple to work with a big Swiss bank and an American blockchain company. News sources say this project goes further than what Ripple is already doing with cross-border payments. It wants to make a place where people can use. The use of XRP will link digital ID, compliance rails, and the tokenization of real-world assets. The XRP ledger could be used for biometric ID verification, which would allow users to prove who they are during on-chain deals and regulatory compliance checks in the business system. Do you agree that this is very important? Every time you send a transaction, they will have to make sure you are who you say you are. The bank takes care of everything behind the scenes when you go to the bank to send money around the world. What if you're just going from one bank to another? Please excuse me. And what if you don't want that bank to be a third party when you send XRP around the world? That way, the money won't go to bad or illegal things. How do you make sure you are who you say you are by doing the Know Your Customer KYC and Know Your Business AML checks? Putting stocks, bonds, swaps, and other things on the blockchain and then selling them without a third party makes sense. That's why they'll have to check the information, which is part of the whole thing. It's cool to see how everything works together. It does say that as XRP's importance grows, people think that XRP will do a lot more than just make it easy to send money to other countries. Become a global hub for controlling identities and trading assets in a safe environment. That's it. It is already built into the XRP system to use decentralized ID standards. When banks do this, they can safely take on new people and make transactions. Nigerian banks, for instance, use DIDs driven by XRP to sign up people who don't have bank accounts. These rumors may be true based on Ripple's most recent actions, such as its agreements with healthcare payment processors in the U.S. and its growth in Africa and the Middle East for ID-linked finance. JP Morgan thinks that digital ID is very important because it is at the heart of Web3. Its own blockchain identity projects are a lot like the compliance-first projects that Ripple is said to be working on. These projects use XRP's payment features and the global framework's rails. Ripple and XRP are at the heart of handling identities, making sure that rules are followed around the world and paying for digital assets. This could lead to big changes. This is what we hope and dream of, right? This is why XRP is so important to banks around the world. Then our XRP is worth a lot more since it's important like a GS is, right? A bank that works with the rest of the world's banks. It would not work as well without that bank. That bank would start to sink if something bad happened to it. The government would help that bank so the machinery stays in place. Why? Because it would be bad for the U.S. economy if the infrastructure went down. I think that Ripple and XRP are very important in this way. But please tell me what you see or think as you read this. Tell me what you think. More and more people and businesses are finding XRP useful, which could lead to a lot of new demand and price speculation for it. There are, in fact, new risks and conversations about how to run a business and who we are as people. But there are also big chances to make history. 4. Say, who has your ID on hand right now? It's not you, it's the government. Yes? They need to give you your passport and ID, right? What they know about you is theirs. After that, you'll own your info and be free to use it however you want. We should all be paid for the information. OpenID will be very important because our personal information is shared everywhere. Let's listen to this. This was put up a lot in this movie by a digital asset investor. Hey, Brad Garlinghouse. After 5 years, Swift will have 14% of XRP. There are signs that Paul Barron thinks it will be a lot more. In a wink-wink way, Paul Barron says, let's play. A lot of people still think that Swift is the big thing that Ripple should really get into. I still think it will be important when that switch is turned off, even though Garlinghouse has said they only plan to take a small part of Swift anyway. It will take the system to a whole new level, which is one reason I'm so positive about XRP. You can also look at the talk we had this week on the X Space. Brad Kims and I talked about this. What do you think? What color does XRP belong to? Is it black, white, or both? Okay. I wanted to talk about the interesting part of this where they took 14% of Swift's business. What would have happened if Ripple or Brad Garlinghouse said, yes, we'll take half of Swift's business? Swift is like, oh, shitty. It's as if Swift already knows they have to go up against bigger chains like Ripple and Circle. I think Swift knows that if they don't do something, they won't be Swift for long. Because of this, I think there is game playing going on behind the scenes that we aren't seeing. I think Ripple wants to take over Swift, but they can't just say, we're going to replace all of Swift here in the next 5 years. I think Ripple really wants to find a way to use XRP and Swift to help themselves, but they're also thinking, how can we, it's just business at the end of the day, right? You can't all have friends and other things, but Ripple is here to add new lines to the old scheme. In other words, until they say now is the time, right? They will be very helpful. They want to kill you, which is what any big company or group would do to take over completely. I don't know, man. We need to check it out. It will be 4D chess. And you have to believe that some of the smartest people in the world work for Ripple, okay? People who work full-time for the U.S. government at the Federal Reserve, the FDIC, the Treasury, and other places won't just work for you or the board, okay? It looks like most people don't understand what's going on. Okay, the last 2 days in crypto have been a scam. Come on, play. I'm not sure if I'll show the podcast or not. It was because it was very strong. The show wouldn't make sense without some of the things that were said. But let me quickly explain what the job was. It was a finance worker and a computer guy I've known for a long time and respect. I'm not going to call him someone who's against Bitcoin or crypto. That's what he said. Paul, you should know that the U.S. government backs crypto. The NSA is probably behind Bitcoin. There won't be much time left until the people in charge at B say, okay, we got it from here. Okay, what do you think about that point of view? I believe there are honest people and important people in the market. There are now signs that this is a scop. This person is a spy. When you think about the past few years, it makes sense that the people who created Bitcoin would have been a part of some kind of 3-letter group, right? The US dollar isn't used as much for trade around the world now that the bubble burst. Yes? Take away the dollar. You've seen shows like Black Swan Capitalists, where they talk about how countries in the BRICS use dollars less and other similar topics, right? In the crypto world, 99% of the safe coins are backed by the dollar. That means the crypto business is going strong, the dollar right now, and no one knows it, right? Some of you may not know that when you buy and sell your favorite coins with USDT, USDC, or even our LUSD, you're actually helpful to the US dollar. These stable.